I have discussed about the cancerous nature of fandoms in many videos before. One of my most video is the case of the Dream Daddy fan artist who got harassed because the artist drew one of the character in a fashion that some people didn't like. At least that's the best way for me to describe it. Please refer to the other video if you want more details, or please give me any criticism that justifies sending death threats to this artist. I've ignored the death threats for a bit and focused on the criticism, but even the criticisms are just downright garbage. Ever since that last video, some people always comment, "Hey Appa, why are you overgeneralizing the entire fandom when you're criticizing the actions of a few?" Well, it would be unfair if we're not talking about Steven Universe. Seriously, go on Tumblr and please tell me if you can make the protagonist looking thin without being harassed by Tumblrites for spreading fat phobia. There was that horror story of a lady who was pregnant cosplaying as one of the characters and almost got her baby kicked off because the Tumblrite confused her of being fat. This lady knows nothing about the fandom at all. She just wanted to cosplay as a character to show some love, but a Tumblrite harassed her because of this. I'm sorry to overgeneralize the Steven Universe fandoms, but the incidence of this fandom is getting more and more ridiculous to the point where this generalization is accurate. Even the creators got hit. At least bronies and squids keep it to themselves. At least the Tokyo Ghoul fandom makes only one headline. Yes, the Voltron fandom almost blackmailed the artist so that the ship can be canon, but at least it's not driving a girl to suicide. It's totally fine to be a fan of something even if you're a fan of something that is notoriously cancerous. I'm a fan of Teen Titans and Young Justice, and their fandoms can be cancerous. That still doesn't deter my enjoyment out of these two things, and if you're going to say that fandoms are cancerous, at least be accurate about it. Do you want to know how not to characterize your fandoms? Your fandom is racist and so are you. That's literally the title for this article. Incidentally, I find it interesting that the fighting game tournament is so ridiculously diverse, while the so-called inclusive, diverse XOXO festival is, well, not really diverse. Yes, fandoms are cancer, absolutely, but the one thing that I cannot say is that they're not diverse. Because they are. They absolutely are diverse. And if you're saying that they're racist, it's basically like saying everyone is racist, both whites and non-whites. But unfortunately, the writer's intention is very clear as we're reading this tripe. Cosplay is rooted in racist intellectual properties, and fans do everything they can to uphold this racism. You know, I would actually agree with this sentiment. The problem is racism doesn't come from the fans. They come from Tumblrites who claim to be progressives. Regressives more like. The lack of self-awareness is on full display as we go on further. 2 weeks before my annual cosplay extravaganza known as DragonCon, my Facebook notifications began blowing up. Within an hour, I had more than 40 notifications about an article published on Bleeding Cool about a popular cosplayer who had marched the white supremacists in the Charlottesville heritage protests. Okay, I went on to read the article and it's just a straight up hit piece. The article introduced her cosplay and even promotes her DeviantArt page, oddly enough. Then she talked about going into Charlottesville. Her Facebook post talking about how the mayor is openly hating on white people and she was using shields and helmets during the rally. The police ordered her to stand down and let them attack her and her partners, which is, I guess, standard Western police procedure. Protect Antifa harassing the Nazis, but don't protect the Nazis because they're Nazis. They're more violent, right? We're just trashing garbage bins. The article proceeds to shame her for not being on the side of Supergirl. Like, how would you know that Supergirl would take a side that this girl wouldn't take? She's a freaking fictional character. Using Supergirl to shame her into agreeing with your politics is about as childish as comparing the Donald to Voldemort. Another Facebook user, Russ Matthews, decided to point this out, and ever since then, so many people are calling her a racist, white supremacist, and Nazi. In another Facebook post, she clarified that she's in the center of some form of a witch hunt. She's not really in any side, she's willing to have a civil discussion, and she saw lots of violence when she's tagging along with some of her friends who are stubborn nationalists. There's video evidence of her being in the rally, and her friend Jonathan Norris has admitted on being a white supremacist. I'm not really sure about the context of this entire message, and the article doesn't really explain anything. Who is this message from? What is Jonathan talking about with his rants other than the claim of him being a white supremacist? As for the video evidence, well, it has the people chanting "You will not replace us" or "Jews will not replace us," but I have no idea whether or not those are the actual words being chanted. Hell, I have no idea whether or not those two individuals really are John and Alyssa. The article does not link to the original clip, and there's no audio. What if this GIF is just a guy putting a text on the top of a clip and the chant was about something else? At this moment, this is about as legitimate as Miyazaki's anime was a mistake quote, and the article couldn't be bothered proving it. As a result, her entertainment site has been closed down with the webmaster replacing it with the message, "You have the right to free speech, but we have the right to close this website." This entire article is a hit piece towards Alyssa thanks to her tagging along with her partner saying "Jews will not replace us," assuming the video was correct. I'm not really sure why the title of this article is about Alyssa when the article focuses mostly on her partner Jonathan being a racist. If anything, Alyssa becomes the punching bag when her crime is tagging along with him. Now, if Alyssa and John turns out to be actual white supremacists, I stand corrected. It's just that the article does a very poor job at proving it. She's in the rally, but your evidence is just a gif with a text? Where's the link for the original video? Is that really her in the outfit? Is that really her partner? Can you verify that it's her or if it's just another blonde girl? Why is this article even made? What's the point? Again, if all of that is true, I stand corrected, but this article is going to be used by absolute buffoons like this to spread even more racism.
Curious, I read the article and then went back to my day, entirely unsurprised. Just like water is wet, white people are racist, and racism in cosplay culture has been normalized and captured on for years.
Just like water is wet, white people are racist. Yes, all white people, and not just the individuals in the rally. My god, you daft imbecile. What more outlandish ideas you have for today?
At least this was my perspective, but the white and white adjacent people on my friend list were having...
Jackson? What in the name of God am I reading? I guess race is a freaking shade now. Good God, this article is deranged and the writer is a bigoted troglodyte. If the Donald is gonna run for 2020 and he showed me this article as a way to convince me that he's going to purge these human beings out of existence, then make America great once again, Donald Ducking Drumpf.
Meanwhile, me and other black cosplayers wondered how this was gonna affect our experience at the convention. We wondered if the woman who marched was gonna DragonCon. She didn't. We wondered if her defenders would say or do anything. Some uncomfortable and frankly white sympathizing conversation ensued, but there were not enough to cause disruption.
So add irrationally paranoid to the list of character traits that this writer has. Going into a freaking cosplay convention roaring that white people are gonna smash you in the face is about as irrational as going into a kindergarten school expecting the black children to be Somalian child soldiers. I honestly couldn't be bothered reading this stripe from this point on. The writer goes on ramble and ramble and ramble about civil rights, black people, white people, fans complaining that certain characters are in a different skin color, cosplay is built on racism, fandoms are built on racism, there are no black people in any sorts of fandom ever. Wait a second. We were talking about cancerous fandoms in the beginning, right? How the hell can the discussion railroad into racism and civil rights movement? It seems like the writer is just using the fandoms as a way to share grievances of how the white people are just the worst. It's like if I talk about the anime community and suddenly decided to write about how Japan colonializes my country for 3.5 years and therefore I'm entitled to free stuff and have the rights to say anime is racist. If that's the case, Japan, I'm entitled for an exclusive copy of the PC ports of Persona.
As a fat black cosplayer, I'm very much aware of the lack of characters who resemble me. I know that when I cosplay, it will be my version of that character because there aren't any characters who physically match my skin, my body type, my hair, me. Even when strides are ostensibly made, I am left out. When Valiant Comics released their fat women superhero, for example, she was a white, blue-eyed blonde.
Oh, poor you. No characters in games or comics match your skin color or your physique. Well, so do I, you daft wimping brat. Did I tell white people to go suck my brown dick? Did I tell Japanese people to give me free anime because of 3.5 years of slavery? Did I tell the Duchess to bend over their chicks for me after 350 years of slavery? No, I didn't. It seems to me that this entire article is about you demanding free stuff from white people. How about you stop treating white people like garbage and maybe chances are they would give you free stuff. You dad's troglodyte.
Just as mass media is a product of whiteness that had a stranglehold on America for hundreds of years, so is geek culture and everything spawned from it. Conventions, watch parties, movie franchises, hobbies, fandoms.
Jesus, I'm sorry, but there's only a limit of nonsense that I could stomach, and this article goes on and on talking about how fandoms are racist without even recognizing the fact that maybe just for 1 second the writer is also being racist. I don't even know what she's on about. It's like I'm arguing with a brick wall. And you know what they say about brick walls? The best argument against it is a freaking sledgehammer.
And just as with everything else, the unbearable whiteness of fandom won't change without tangible effort by white people committed to changing it. Racism is a conscious choice that's become the white noise of American culture, and addressing it takes conscious effort to disrupt how white people see the world.
I can't comprehend what the heck this writer is talking about. So let me illustrate this for you.
Fighting white supremacy in fandom, in culture, in society, in politics, and everything is hard, and it takes commitment from white people to reflect their privilege. It takes the effort of addressing and analyzing how that privilege impacts everything they think and know. It means making intention efforts to include black and NBPOC voices in decision-making, if not outright having them to be the decision-makers. It requires the willingness of white people to be wrong, especially when working with black people. To improve quality of life for everyone, you must listen to the voices of those who historically haven't been heard, and you need to be willing to step back and let go. Always strive to be better than you have been and make this world a better place for everyone.
Can I request a box of Cthulhu?